everyone, it's Ms. Spencer. Today we'll be finding the volume of composite figures. The objective for today is students will be able to find the volume of composite figures. Let's start by reviewing some vocabulary. The only vocabulary word today is composite figure. A composite figure is a figure that's made up of two or more smaller figures. So here, this would be an example of composite figure. If we separated this figure into two different rectangles, we would have rectangle A and rectangle B. We could find the area of each of these rectangles and then add them together to find the area of the composite figure. Here's another example of a composite figure. We could separate this composite figure into two rectangular prisms. We could go up and down to make a rectangular prism on the left and right, or we can go across to create a rectangular prism on the top, A, and a rectangular prism on the bottom, B. Either way, we would find the same volume of the composite figure. We can also use unit cubes to find a composite figure's volume. Here, we can separate this composite figure into two rectangular prisms. The one on the left can be A, and the one on the right can be B. We're going to be focusing on this one here today, using just the formula to help us find the volume of a composite figure. Let's start by finding the area of a composite figure. Here, we have a rectangular prism on the left and on the right. We're going to separate that using a line. Here, we notice that the length for the entire composite figure would be 10 centimeters. But once we've separated it, it's no longer 10 centimeters. We notice here that the length is 8 centimeters. That means on top, the other side of our rectangle should also be 8 centimeters. Well, if the whole thing was 10 centimeters, and we know that the rectangle on the left, A, is going to be 8 centimeters, then that means the length of the rectangle on the right should be 2 centimeters. So 8 centimeters plus 2 centimeters equals that 10 centimeters, but we separated them into two different rectangles. Here, we can now find the area of each of our composite figures. Remember, the area formula is length times width. So we're going to find the area of rectangle A first. The length is 8 centimeters. The width is 6 centimeters. So the area is going to be 8 centimeters times 6 centimeters, which is 48 centimeters squared. Now we can find the area of rectangle B. Here, the length is 2 centimeters and the width is 2 centimeters. So we can multiply 2 centimeters times 2 centimeters to get 4 centimeters squared. Now that we found the area of both of our rectangles, we can add the areas together. 48 centimeters squared plus 4 centimeters squared equals 52 centimeters squared. So the area of our composite figure is 52 centimeters squared. So let's try to find the volume of this composite figure. Here, this composite figure is made up of two different rectangular prisms. The one on top is rectangular prism A, and the one on the bottom is rectangular prism B. We're going to start by finding the volume of rectangular prism A. Remember, the volume formula is length times width times height. The length is 3 inches. These arrows indicate that the length is going from here to here. This is to help you not get confused with the length down here, which is 6 inches. Notice the length of rectangular prism B is much longer. That's why it's 6 inches. The length of rectangular prism A is only this long, which is why it's 3 inches. So the length is 3 inches. The width is also 3 inches. Notice here, and I'm going to change colors. Notice here that this width is not labeled, this width is not labeled, and this width is not labeled. So we need to keep going until we find a dimension that is labeled. Here, this is 3 inches. So if this width is 3 inches, that means this width is 3 inches, this width is 3 inches, and this width is 3 inches. So that means the width is 3 inches for rectangular prism A and B. The height is 2 inches. So we're going to multiply 3 inches times 3 inches times 2 inches. Well, 3 inches times 3 inches is 9 inches squared, and 9 inches squared times 2 inches is 18 cubic inches. So the volume of rectangular prism A is 18 cubic inches. Now we're going to find the volume of rectangular prism B. I'm going to clear all of our work. We're going to start by finding the length, width, and height. The length of rectangular prism B is 6 inches. The width is 3 inches, and the height is 4 inches. So we're going to multiply 6 inches times 3 inches times 4 inches. 6 inches times 3 inches is 18 inches squared, and 18 inches squared times 4 inches is 72 cubic inches. Now we can add the volume of each rectangular prism. 18 inches cubed plus 72 inches cubed is 90 inches cubed. So the volume of this composite figure is 90 inches cubed. Now we're going to find the volume of this composite figure. We're going to start by separating this composite figure into two rectangular prisms. The rectangular prism on the top is A, and the one on the bottom is rectangular prism B. We're going to start by finding the volume of rectangular prism A. Remember, the formula for volume is length times width times height. So the length of rectangular prism A, is 2 yards. The width here, notice there is no width that's shown here, here, or here. So we need to go all the way down to 4 yards down here. If this is 4 yards, then we know this is 4 yards. This width is 4 yards. This width is 4 yards. And this width is 4 yards. So even though it wasn't originally labeled, we know that the width of rectangular prism A is going to be 4 yards. The height, well here, the height of both A and B is 4 yards. We can see here, and I'm going to change colors real quick, we can see here that the height of rectangular prism B is 2 yards. So if this here is 2 yards, that means we need to figure out what we add to 2 yards to get the 4 yards. Well, 2 yards plus 2 yards equals 4 yards. So the height of both A and B is going to be 2 yards. Now we can multiply the length times width times height. 2 yards times 4 yards times 2 yards. Well, 2 yards times 4 yards is 8 yards squared, and 8 yards squared times 2 yards is 16 cubic yards. So the volume of rectangular prism A is 16 cubic yards. I'm going to clear our work, and we're going to find the volume of rectangular prism B. Here, the volume formula is still length times width times height. The length is 3 yards. The width is 4 yards, and the height is 2 yards. So we're going to multiply 3 yards times 4 yards times 2 yards. 3 yards times 4 yards is 12 yards squared, and 12 yards squared times 2 yards is 24 cubic yards. So now we can add these volumes together. 16 cubic yards plus 24 cubic yards is 40 cubic yards. The volume of this composite figure is 40 cubic yards. Let's do this last one together. We're going to separate the composite figure into rectangular prisms A and B. We're going to find the volume of rectangular prism A first, which is the one on top. The length is going to be at the very top. We see that the whole thing is 10 centimeters. So the length of rectangular prism B here is 8 centimeters. That means 8 centimeters plus 2 centimeters gets us the 10 centimeters we had. If this was 8 centimeters, then we know this here is 2 centimeters. So our length is 2 centimeters. Our width, notice here, our width is not given here, here, or here, but the width of rectangular prism B is 3 centimeters. So if the width is 3 centimeters, then the width here is 3 centimeters, the width here is 3 centimeters, and the width on this side is 3 centimeters. So we know that our width is 3 centimeters. Our height, well, the height of our whole thing, and I'm going to clear our screen, the height of the whole thing is 6 centimeters. So this bottom rectangular prism's height is 2 centimeters. You can think, what do you add to 2 centimeters to get to 6 centimeters? And the answer is 4 centimeters. So the height of rectangular prism A is 4 centimeters. We can multiply now 2 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 4 centimeters. 2 centimeters times 3 centimeters is 6 centimeters squared, and 6 centimeters squared times 4 centimeters is 24 cubic centimeters. Now we can go ahead and find the volume of rectangular prism B. The length is 10 centimeters, the width is 3 centimeters, and the height is 2 centimeters. So we can multiply 10 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 2 centimeters. 10 centimeters times 3 centimeters is 30 centimeters squared, And 30 centimeters squared times 2 centimeters is 60 centimeters cubed. So now we can add the volumes together. 24 centimeters cubed plus 60 centimeters cubed is 84 centimeters cubed. The volume of this composite figure is 84 centimeters cubed.